Hello and welcome to The Office Field Guide. My name's Chris and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. Today we're looking at Season 3, Episode 6, entitled Diwali. The Diwali episode was directed by Miguel Arteta, who directed a ton of stuff, but notably he directed The Alexander and The Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, which Steve Carell starred in. Also, this episode was written by Mindy Kaling. Kaling and Daniels actually came up with the idea for this episode after Kaling held a Diwali party for the series staff back in 2005. This one replaced the originally slated Halloween-themed episode. The Diwali episode aired on November 2nd, which is 12 days after the actual Diwali holiday. And to get to the trivia question for this episode, I'll need to show you this clip.
These are not my shoes.
The trivia question for the Diwali episode is, whose shoes did Michael take? If you've seen the deleted scenes, you'll know this one. But with that, let's shine some light on this episode.
No one asked you anything ever?
All right, I've got a lot to get to, so I'm going to try to put this into some sort of order of importance. So starting with the very least, the Stanford bits in Season 3 have been a nice breakaway from the normal Office flow. But my sense is that they're never really fleshed out. We typically just get these quick glances following Jim's early flirtations with Karen. Probably out of all the episodes that include Stanford, I think I like this one the most because I loved watching Karen outsmart the boys.
2, 3, shot!
Oh, holy mother of God.
But this Jim and Andy moment is just one of my favorites.
Unless I seek my source,
Oh, come on, guys,
closer
please.
I am to find.
I looked up that song because I wasn't familiar, and I realized that it's in another movie that John Krasinski directed and acted in called Hollers from 2016. So he must really like Indigo Girls, or this song's lyrics just resonated with him. And while this is all interesting, I did go listen to the original version of this song on YouTube. I noticed that the top comment by far was this.
Tuna? Are you kidding me?
I love Office fans. Okay, and so we can't talk about the Diwali episode without addressing three more major things. First, the Diwali song. At the risk of over-explaining this is a parody of a comedy song written and performed by Adam Sandler on SNL. I'll tell you this bit fills me with pure joy, but I'll also tell you that the way this episode is edited, it leaves me wondering if this is canon or not. I mean, typically Michael makes these over-the-top bits, and they fall flat when he's in front of a crowd of people.
I'm very sorry. I did not know that you were wearing a hearing aid, and I just thought you were speaking abnormally. And now, the black guy.
But he really seems to nail this one, and I've always felt like it was more of a Christmas special ending than anything else. Like Kaling just wanted this in the episode, but couldn't figure out a way to organically put it in. Carol's suspiciously missing from the reaction shot from the audience, so I don't know, you tell me, do you think that this is Michael's first real parody song performance? In the vein of Goodbye Toby, Beers in Heaven, Achy Breaky Fart, Lazy Scranton, and My Stumps? Or do you think that they just needed an uplifting moment at the end of this episode, and they filled that void with this bit? I could see it both ways, but I've always felt like this was not canon, this was just some fun they were having with the holiday. Comments are appreciated, let me know what you think. The second big thing to talk about with this episode is representation and diversity. I think this episode is masterclass in both having a diverse casting crew, while representing a culture and a holiday that was foreign, if not for a majority of Americans, at least foreign to the American primetime television show in 2006. This episode seemingly so easily drops the existing storylines of The Office into a unique situation in which all the usual racist landmines are tripped.
Who is this crazy gringo, and what is he talking about? Well, I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm crazy.
But, and maybe even better than Diversity Day, the joke is never on the Indian culture. This concept is so clearly seen with this joke.
Don't go. They ate monkey brains.
Hey,
This is a reference to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which many have scorned for its portrayal of Indian culture, often referencing this scene.
Chilled a monkey brain.
The difference between how The Office and the Temple of Doom handle this bit is punching up or punching down. Indiana Jones makes it clear that we, the audience, along with the characters, are supposed to turn our noses up and marginalize others. The Office, on the other hand, makes it clear that Angela's ignorance and rudeness is the joke.
Hey, stop that. That is offensive. Indians do not eat monkey brains. And if they do...
I do think that the deleted scenes make it clear that Angela's motivation for being so snide in this episode is because she's still upset from this event.
Certain people in this office are a little too obsessed with things from India.
Which doesn't excuse her at all, but it does reveal a bit about her character. My favorite quote from Kaylin about this episode was that she, like Kelly, didn't know much about the holiday's origin or purpose, and had to Google the information for herself. So she ended up writing Kelly to have the same type of ignorance.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the origins of the holiday?
I don't know, it's really old, I think.
And while we're at it, I'll also comment on how the actors who played Kelly's parents were perfect. If you didn't know, they're Mindy Kaling's actual parents. They did such a good job, especially for non-actors. One of my favorite exchanges in this episode is this.
Start a family and home.
Or travel and buy an Xbox.
But they also kill it here too.
She is very fair.
She is very fair. Very fair and very kind.
And look, everybody comes at diversity from a different angle depending on your background and your experiences. All I'm saying is that this episode fires on all cylinders with the comedy and the cringe, while storytelling, educating, and the third thing I want to talk about, the cringe. While Dinner Party, Scott's Tots, and Diversity Day are often ranked as the top episodes that make you feel like hiding your face in an empathetic response, so strong that when you rewatch that episode, you start emotionally preparing for what is about to happen, but I often see the Diwali episode left off this list, which is a shame, because this...
I would like you to do me the honor of making me your husband.
is such a cringe-tastic moment, but when you think it couldn't get any worse for Michael, this happens.
I'm rejecting your kiss.
I didn't.
And if you don't feel this, you might not be human. But we can talk about that some other time. There's so much more to address in this episode, but I'll get to that in a deeper meaning and beyond.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
To start off with, I went down a rabbit hole trying to research the deeper meaning of this holiday, so that I could factor that into how to read this episode. Diwali, which is also known as Deep Valley, which literally translates to row of lights, is celebrated by millions around the world. While the cause of the celebration for the holiday seemed to vary based on various religious sects or subcultures, for example, this seems to be one of the reasons for Diwali.
The celebration of the coronation of the god King Rama after his epic battle with Ravana, the demon king of Lanka. It symbolizes the battle between good and evil.
All right, this isn't Lord of the Rings.
Though while the cause for celebration might be different, the way this holiday is celebrated is very similar, with lanterns, firecrackers, food, dancing, gift-giving, and prayer. As there seems to be many variances in this holiday, I'll do my very best to generalize it. If someone's watching this and I'm butchering it, please know it's not on purpose, enlighten us in the comments. The spirit of Diwali is a celebration of good over evil or light over darkness, two forces diametrically opposed. And we see this concept of opposition in the Diwali episode with many of its characters with ignorance at its core. Michael's ignorant of reality.
This is our 9th date, Michael.
Well, yeah, but I feel like I've known you many lifetimes. Maybe I'm Hindu after all.
Again, Michael's ignorant of reality.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Kelly's also ignorant of reality.
Is there anything you wanted to ask us tonight?
Yeah, Kelly is fine. But honestly, I just came here for the free Indian food, you know, like everyone else.
Angela is ignorant of Dwight's motives in this episode.
The only thing I like about India is the culture, period. And the 6-armed god monsters, which are so awesome.
Roy's ignorant of where Pam really is right now. And I'm sure there's more if we dug in, but there's a bigger play in this episode. The risk Daniels took in titling and focusing the Sweeps Week episode on a holiday, which at the time didn't have much exposure in the American audience, is a message to all of us. And that message is expel the ignorance that we have in us. I'm not saying we all need to be a Dwight, but we definitely don't want to be an Angela.
You look like you were having fun. I am. You should come dance with us. I have to watch our shoes so they don't get stolen.
Interestingly, for all of his faults in this episode, Michael's pursuit to learn about Diwali is something to be applauded. Or I don't know, maybe this whole episode is just a setup to get Pam driving with Michael in her backseat, while Karen's driving with Jim in her backseat. It has to mean something, right? With that, let's dish out some Dundees.
And then I gotta get him to the Dundees.
All right, the Dundee for Mindy Kaling impersonations goes to Steve Carell.
I love blah, blah, blah. It's so super fun, and it's gonna be great.
And the Dundee for the Zach Braff lookalike goes to BJ Novak.
Kelly Zach Braff ko pasand karti hai.
I had to go online to find out what Kelly's sisters were saying, and it translates loosely to Kelly has a crush on Zach Braff, which I can kind of see. Either way, thanks for the research assignment, Mindy Kaling, and with that, let's get to the ratings.
What gives you the right?
Okay, and to start us off, the answer to the trivia question, whose shoes did Michael take?
These are not my shoes.
And where are my shoes?
All right, and so the cold opening. I give this one a 3 out of 5. It's an episode setup. It's not the most exciting, but it does pack in the humor pretty concisely. Michael's ignorance, impersonation, and then the flip-flopping is very well executed and edited perfectly. And maybe there's no surprises here, as much as I've gushed and talked about this one, but I'm giving the Diwali episode, The Fabled, 5 out of 5. This episode is so well done. One of the great marks of an episode of The Office is its ability to manage the storytelling with the humor. It is one of the best episodes of The Office in my opinion. Definitely my top 10 for sure. The writing is so clever, the editing is well done. Arteta did an amazing job directing this one. And considering that they were off-site even expands my appreciation all the more, as I've been pretty critical of offset episodes so far. This one is definitely one of the greats. And if my ratings didn't say it enough, this is better on all accounts than a Diversity Day episode, at both accomplishing its message and delivering the humor. The only cons that this episode has in it is the weak inclusion of the Stanford bits, and the Diwali song seems out of place, as I already talked about. But even the deleted scenes in this one are great. But that's just what I think about the Diwali episode. What are your thoughts? Did I rate this one too high? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you like this episode and you're new to the channel, take a minute to check out the rest of our field guides. I release one office field guide every week, so consider subscribing if you're in for more of this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
If you're Indian and you love to party, have a happy